As my trolls will be happy to tell you, I shouldn't be running a lawnmower business because I'm terrible with customer service. I don't like people. So, I mean, I always knew this would be the issue with running a small business, repair, hobby business, is the customers. I mean, I don't mind working on the lawnmowers. It's the customers. I don't know how to deal with them. And so, customer service, I try really hard to do the best I can with customer service. And I try not to communicate too much. That way they don't think I'm a jerk or being friendly or anything. I just want them to realize, okay, we're going to repair your mower, you're going to pay me, and I'm going to give you your mower back. But it just doesn't always work out that way. And so it causes hard feelings. So now I had two occasions like this today. And as you know, on the second one I'll get into, you already know that I've already decided not to do what happened there anymore. So this thing was here a few days ago and it wouldn't start, so I put a new ignition coil on it because it was tore apart, as a matter of fact. The cover was off, there was no spark plug. So I checked for spark, didn't have spark, and put a new ignition coil on it. Well, it didn't start. So I cleaned the carburetor and the ultrasonic cleaner, put it all back together, and the total came up to a certain price. But I thought, this thing is not going to be worth that much money. You can get a self-propelled mower just like this. This is not self-propelled, this is just regular push mower. You can get a self-propelled mower just like this for $100 on Facebook Marketplace all day long. And so here I am up there, in the range of that. So I dropped the price on it. I gave up my labor costs is what I did. And so I only charged him for the part. It ran great. I didn't have any issues with it. So he calls me the next day and he says, it's got problems. And when I fixed the carburetor and it started getting up to that price, I knew it was a mistake. I knew I'd made a mistake on this. I've already invested too much into it and it's not worth it. I mean, the mower's probably worth 50, 75 bucks. It just isn't worth it. It's 20, let's see, it's what, 13 years old? So that's why I dropped the price, because I knew I'd made a mistake. Well, sure enough, he calls the next day, says it won't start. And I said, look, I'm just gonna give you your money back. Now, I felt like that should have ended the story. Just give him his money back, that way he can go buy, and I even said, then you can go on Facebook Marketplace and buy another one that runs. And I explained the whole thing, that I made a mistake. I shouldn't have worked on it any further than the ignition coil. I should have just given it back to you and been done with it. But here we are. And he said, no, don't give me my money back. Let's investigate this a little bit further. So I suggested to him that he might want to check the gas, because the last two pieces of equipment he sent me both had bad gas in it. So he took the fuel hose off, and he said a piece of fuel hose came out of it. And he thinks that's what the problem was, because it started up and he used it all day yesterday. Well, this morning he says, do you got another fuel line? Because he thinks the fuel line's bad. And I said, yeah, I do. Okay, well then we'll just call that even. So he wants now me to start giving him things for the money that I said, okay, well then later I got to thinking, you know what? It's not the fuel hose. I know it's not the fuel hose. That is not what's not making it run. So he brings it over, and what it is the gas tank's it's got full of dirt. Now, I didn't notice that the last time. I didn't do a complete inspection. I was just, I was already into it way too much money. And so I was just thinking, let's just, get it running. So it's full of dirt. I go ahead and clean out the fuel tank. I put a fuel filter on it, and I clean the carburetor again. But I keep thinking in my head, I wanted to give the guy his money back. I've been on this thing all morning, and I'm not going to get paid any extra money for it. He's looking at that money that he paid me as money for this particular, the second repair. So at some point, I'm not getting paid. So anyway, I don't think any of it was my fault. So I got it running again. It's running pretty good. So I don't know how to handle that. You tell somebody you know, I'll give you your money back. I even Googled it, and they said once you say you're going to give him money back, that's the end of the conversation. Google said that. Google AI said that's the end of the conversation. But it wasn't the end of the conversation. There was nothing I could do to convince the guy that this mower is not worth the money that he has spent on it. Nothing. So I don't know what more I could have done, other than now I'm in debt to this mower for the rest of my life. For as long as he owns it, I will have to keep it running. That's it. So I'm not taking any more business from him. I mean, I don't have a choice. I mean, he's a nice guy and has not spoken a harsh word to me once, but I can't just continuously work on things, especially when I've given him an option out and given myself an option out. Here's the money. And he just won't take it. I even said, well, it's no big deal. You don't have to take it. I'll just send you a check because I got your address. He said, I won't cash it. So, you know, what are you going to do? He just wants me to work on it. That's what he wants. And he said, well, I already talked to my wife about this, and we agree that we'll just get somebody else's headache if we buy a used mower. Well, okay, but now it's my headache. You don't have any headaches. It's just my headache. So again, I don't know how to handle people. That's why I live here. And unfortunately, this is just something I'm going to have to do. I mean, you know, YouTube money is if I don't want to work for an employer anymore. This is just what I'm going to have to do. So, but the second one came by today. I don't understand it. Carolyn, well, let me explain. So he pulls into the building next door, and they're having a raffle, an auction, and he pulls in over there, and then he pulls in over here, and he gets out of the truck, and I'm down here working on the ultrasonic cleaner in the camper, so I see him pull in, so I start to walk up the hill, and I said, hello, sir, how are you? You remember me, don't you? No, sir, I sure don't. Yeah, I gave you a mower a while back. That one. I said, no, sir, that is not your mower. This is a customer's mower. Nope, that's my mower. No, sir. He says, I gave you a mower a while back and told you that you could have it. Well, that's not it. I said, I've only had two push mowers, or two mowers with handles like this ever. And I sold them both, and I said, but I don't remember you. I don't remember. He says, yep, that's my mower. And I said, look, that's not your mower. And I didn't know what to do, because he said, I'm a retired cop. And oh, so I didn't know what to do. I was like, okay, he is saying that there, you know, I felt like it was a threat. Like if I don't do something regarding this mower that he claims is his, that, you know, he's going to use law enforcement against me. I mean, I recognize he's retired, but maybe, you know, I don't know. I don't trust it. So I'm starting to get a little frightened. Like, I'm in trouble for something. Now, I admit that I've had two push mowers, but since then I've decided we're not going to sell anything. I've got a mower over there I could fix up. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to scrap it. But I'm not selling them anymore. We've talked about it, and we've talked about different ways we might be able to go about it. But now I know that you know, people call me all the time. Hey, I got an old riding mower. You want it? No, I don't. And this just confirms it. So he says it again. This is my mower. Remember? No, sir. This is a customer mower. Well, maybe you gave it to him, and now he's having you work on it. Something to that effect. Again, I've only sold walk-behind mowers. This is a push mower. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you some money for this mower, because I knew I had two of them, and this might be the guy. I don't know. So I walk around to go get my wallet, and he comes. Well, anyway, I go back out. I go the other way around the house, and he's down here looking at it. And I said, sir, you don't need to be down here. Come back up here. I'm a retired cop. I live at such and such place, and my name is, and oh my gosh. I said, sir, you're trespassing. I said, and he said, retired cop. I don't know. I'm getting a little confused in the conversation, but at some point he said, I'm a retired cop. And I said, then you know you're trespassing, and you need to leave. I just want to talk to you. I said, you need to leave. Now, I'm feeling threatened the whole time. So I finally say, I'm calling the police. And I start to walk back into the house. And he says, he calls out my name. So he knows my name. And then he says, the A word. And gets in his truck. And he just peels out, throwing gravel all over the place. And I come running back out to see if I can get him to stop throwing gravel everywhere. And he stops. As soon as he sees me, he stops and backs out slowly. So I'm just absolutely petrified. And Carolyn says, yeah, she recognized who he was. And she's hearing the conversation from inside the house. And she thinks that, she thinks he is, since she knows who he is, she thinks he's just trying to be friendly. He comes over and wants to gab. And since I didn't know who he was, I never understood why he was so adamant that this was his. And maybe I misunderstood, maybe I was misinterpreting the situation, but the way that things were progressing, I felt like he was going to force me to give him my customers more. The guy who was upset that he has spent money on a mower that doesn't run, that I'm trying to fix up so he can get it at a loss. So now, not only am I going to have to take a loss on this mower, which I've already taken a loss because I gave it to him just for parts cost. Now I'm having to work on it for free. Again, now I'm going to have to buy him a new mower because this guy thinks it's his. And you just run into that situation where you can't think fast enough on how to handle the situation. So I said, well, I'm calling the cops. And he, of course, he calls me a bad name. I still don't know what he wanted. I have no idea. Now, Carolyn just thinks he wanted to chat. But about what? To me, like I said, I'm not good with people. To me, you bring your mower over. You go to Walmart. Here's an example. You go to Walmart, you pick up your items, you go to the checkout counter, and while you're checking out, maybe you talk to the cashier. Maybe. But that doesn't make you best friends. You give her cash, check, ATM, whatever, and you may never see her again. Unless you go through the line again one of these days. But that doesn't make you best friends. That doesn't mean, okay, I'm just going to go over to Walmart and visit with Claire sometime. No, that's not how it works. And so that's how I perceive things. And I know people think I'm nuts, and I am. I admit it. That's why I live here. But it's very clear. I have no trespassing sign. And you know what? For the most part, nobody violates that. No, even when they're dropping off mowers, they stop and they wait for me. They'll only call it, hi, anybody here? They recognize that there are dangers at a shop with lawnmowers, and they don't know exactly where to go. But so anyway, I look up this guy on Facebook because he tells me his name. And if you're not familiar with St. Louis, you may remember back like in, 2015, 2014, there were riots in St. Louis, in a city called Ferguson, Missouri. It's north of St. Louis. And so there were riots there. He was a police officer in Ferguson, Missouri. So I'm even like, oh, okay, this makes sense. So what he's done, he was born in 1955. That's right on his Facebook page. So he's 70 years old, and he's retired, and he's got a big, fancy $2 million house on the lake, and he likes telling everybody how he was a cop. And to me, even after it was all said and done, I still felt like I should call the cops and make a police report that this guy who was claiming to be a retired police officer came over and kept saying this was his mower. And just so there was some sort of police report thing. Of course, Carolyn doesn't think that's a good idea, which, I always take her advice on this kind of stuff. It's, she just seems to have a better handle on people than I do. But I still don't feel comfortable about it. And, of course, he'll get on Facebook and probably blast me. Oh, that guy's a real A, you know what. And I'm just going to reply back, but you threatened me with being a law enforcement officer and saying that I had one of your lawnmowers. I tried to pay you. You didn't want money. You just wanted a lawn. You just wanted me to know that that was your lawnmower. So, you know, something to that effect. That's what I would write. That's how I would defend myself. I'm telling you, it is tough to be in customer service. And the thing is the guy's not a customer. He literally gave me his trash. If you think about it, he gave me his trash. And now we're supposed to be best friends. More done run. Here you go. Okay, thanks. You know, let me take your garbage. And the thing is even, because I looked, now that I know his name, when he gave it to me, I messaged him and said, you know, you need to take this back. I don't want it. And he insisted that I keep it. So, I don't know. You know, I feel like maybe I shouldn't be in this, but I do enjoy working on mowers. And I guess I'm just going to lose customers because I don't know how to deal with them. I don't know. You know, I really felt like there was a threat there of some sort, that I was in fear that something was not going the way I was planning for it to go today. That police were going to be involved, and I was going to be giving away a mower that is not mine to be given away. That's exactly what I thought. So, what are you going to do, I guess? I don't know. So, if you'll click this up next box, take to a video over on my other channel. Really appreciate it. Go check it out. So, I hope I can inspire you to stay away from your troubles when you live in your dreams. Thanks for watching.